We missed you Monday.
Yeah, I miss you guys too.
Do you know who Wally Pipp is?
I don't.
So Wally Pipp was the first baseman for the New York Yankees like 100 years ago. And then he missed a game because he got hurt. And a guy named Lou Gehrig stepped in for him. So Lou Gehrig then set the record for most consecutive games played in Major League Baseball history. So Wally Pipp missed one game, and then Lou Gehrig came in and didn't miss a game for like 14 years. So it's called getting Wally Pipped.
Are you saying there's a chance that I get Wally pipped by my mom?
You know, I'm saying there's a reason I'm telling you this. Welcome in, episode 24 of What's Right with Nick Wright, the podcast and YouTube show. Like, rate, subscribe, review, and remember, check us out every Sunday, as on Sundays, our countdown of the 50 greatest players of the last 50 years continues to come out as we approach the top 15 on that list. I was going to say before we even got into the show that we finally, for the first time in a while, have the full cast here because Damonza, good to see you, my son, after being out sick for Tuesday's show, which we record on Monday. Damonza's here, and I assumed the full production staff was here. However, little behind the scenes info, right as we're starting the show, I see none other than our fearless leader, the showrunner of this project, one Gabe Goodwin. How locked into episode 24 of the What's Right with Nick Wright podcast is Gabe? Well, he's arguing with Mike Florio on Twitter. So that's it. Listen, if you'd like to check out that argument, which is evidently more interesting than this show, just go to @GabeTheWP. That's going to be Gabe's only mention on today's show. Things we're not talking about at all on today's show are the following. Not on today's show is Derek Jeter joining Twitter. Gabe, you can tweet with Jeets. Will I join the New York Rangers bandwagon? I will not. And ISO Joe goes for a ring. That is what is not on today's show. We will get into what has been the best sporting event of the... Oh, Gabe's here. Oh, look at him. Good to see you, Gabe. When he's not out there writing Rotten Tomatoes reviews for Top Gun 2, he's arguing with Mike Florio about the worst Madden cover player ever. You know what? Before we even get into today's show, let me tell you what happened. So Peyton Hillis, once upon a time, was on the cover of Madden. I would argue it's... just go ahead and say what you think. It's one of the most obviously racist things American football fans have ever done. They're like, hey, this mediocre white running back, put him on the cover of Madden over Mike Vick and Jamal Charles. But so Florio's, because the Madden, there's like a Madden anniversary, and so Florio's like, how did Peyton Hillis make the cover? And Gabe, because Gabe was involved with the show that made that the thing, Sports Nation, Kevin Wildes was involved with that show too. They did a big fan vote, and Peyton Hillis won the vote because there's nothing American sports fans like more than the overachieving, hardworking, mediocre white guy. And so Gabe still takes a little, I think there's part of him that regrets it, like we should have rigged the vote so Peyton Hillis wasn't on the cover of Madden, but he still takes some pride in it. So he writes back to Florio, it's not a mystery. He beat Mike Vick to win the Madden cover vote. Yeah, you tell him, Gabe. You absolutely tell him. Okay, now, Damonza, you ready to do the show?
Let's do it.
All right, let's do the show. What are we talking about today?
Oh, man. How could we not start with my Celtics?
Are they really your Celtics if you weren't here to celebrate them making the finals for the first time in a decade?
Yeah, man. It was a very unfortunate show to miss.
Yeah.
But
you were upset.
We still got the win, and I was not at the hookah bar.
Oh,
This is
you
me
weren't?
clearing my name. No.
Okay.
I was here, actually, taking over, holding down the fort.
Okay.
Or you're out in Philadelphia.
You know what? And you guys, good. I'm glad the clock's starting. We'll get to the actual topic in a moment. And this can just be between you and me here, pal. I know you weren't at the hookah bar. I also know you have a hypothesis over how you hurt your throat. I was threading the needle between the truth and something that was appropriate for the air that I thought would work. But now you are really laying down the gauntlet by like, oh, you lied on me. You said you weren't. I wasn't. I was at the hookah bar. I wasn't. I'm like, no, I know you weren't. But I also know that's a better explanation than the real one. So we'll just keep it moving. But just keep in mind, whenever you're ready to throw these jabs my way, I'm usually a few moves ahead. But what are we actually discussing? Go ahead.
All right. Well,
Yeah.
that's fair.
Yeah.
They went through KD, Giannis, and the number 1 seed Heat.
Yep.
Are you ready to finally be right about them, or should we place another bet?
All right, I'm not making any more bets with you. The first one, I thought long and hard about it. You know what? Let me retract that. I'm not making any more bets these playoffs about you or with you because there's just it's so
I'm on a roll.
Upside for me.
What it is.
So much upside for you and so much downside for me. I am unfortunately picking the Warriors in these finals. I don't necessarily even want them to win. I do not think, Damonza, enough time was spent on this show, on any show, on the TV show, with how close the Celtics came to the most catastrophic collapse in basketball history. You sat there next to me, silent, mouth agape, terrified. And the look on your face after that final Celtics miss with Jimmy Butler racing up the court, you looked like you wanted to pass out. The reason I bring that up here is there's a stat going around that's accurate. I don't care that much about it, but it seems relevant. The Celtics combined have 0 finals games experience. The Warriors have 123. I do think there's an element of pressure here. I do think there's an element of we know what the moment's like. And I think the Warriors are better at end of game situations. And because of the Celtics' path, I think they are actually at a disadvantage. I think going 7 games against Milwaukee and then 7 games against Miami, when the Warriors haven't really been pushed yet this playoffs, I think the Warriors are fresher. I think they're healthier. Your guy, Robert Williams. And you know what? Let me give you some genuine credit. You have somehow been on Robert Williams and his importance all postseason.
Yeah, he's a real factor.
He has shown when he's healthy and out there, he's been a real factor. I'm not sure how healthy he is at this point. For all those reasons, I like the Warriors in a long series. I don't really know who I'm rooting for. I'm happy for you, I suppose, but none of this feels good to me. All right, what's next?
Okay. Well, you said last show that the voters owe Steph a Finals MVP vote, or a Finals MVP. Sorry.
Yeah.
Draymond agrees with you and actually went on Cowherd's podcast to say that Curry was the player the defenders are more worried about, not KD.
Yep.
And KD, of course, took to Twitter and argued as usual and said 100% false.
Yep.
So do you think that Steph is responsible for the Warriors dynasty, or more responsible for the Warriors dynasty than Kevin Durant?
Oh, absolutely. Even if Durant in those 2 finals was better. So there's a lot here. I did say the voters owed Steph a Finals MVP, but not one of the 2 Durant got. The Finals MVP Steph should have gotten is the one LeBron actually should have gotten, but somehow Andre Iguodala got.
Right.
That's the 2015 one. I believe it should have gone to LeBron. 4 of the 11 voters agreed with me. But there's been one losing player win Finals MVP ever. It was Jerry West, the very first Finals MVP ever given out. Since then, they've given out 52 of them. They've all gone to someone on the winning team. So if it had to be a Warrior, the 2015 one clearly should have been Steph, not Iguodala. It's ridiculous Iguodala won it. Now, to the point with Draymond and KD and Steph and all of it.
All right.
KD played better in those finals and deserved Finals MVP. But Steph was the guy the Cavs were more concerned about.
Right.
And Steph was the guy, he deserves credit for setting his ego aside enough, if you will, to welcome KD in, to not worry that KD was going to take his glory, his attention. Steph had just won unanimous MVP and had just beaten KD in a 7-game series. So Steph gets credit for all that. And the fact that they're back here again speaks to Steph's value. Steph just changes the geometry of the court. You just have to guard so much more space with Steph out there, which creates easier driving lanes, easier looks for everybody else. I don't blame Durant for getting pissed that Draymond keeps picking at this scab. And Draymond obviously exaggerated the point. And no one should undersell how good KD was in those finals. But it also was an element of playing 2K on rookie mode. There was an element of ease for everyone involved with the Warriors, most notably Durant, because he was kind of allowed to play his own game.
Right.
when the Warriors already had this system. So here's what I think, and we talked about this a lot on the TV show, so I don't want to get into it too heavily here. We're doing the 50 greatest players of the last 50 years on the podcast, all right?
All right.
Every single guy in the top 15 on that list has a finals MVP except for Steph and Dr. J. Dr. J, however, won the ABA equivalent twice. Dr. J spent half his career in the ABA, then came over to the NBA, won a title in the NBA with Moses. Moses won that finals MVP. So essentially, every guy that we consider a pantheon guy that played their career post the finals MVP existing has one, except for Steph. So it's not an irrelevant thing. He does, I don't want to say he needs one, but it would be odd and a little awkward for him if he goes to 6 finals and never wins finals MVP. And let me give the audience some gambling advice here, because I see no scenario where the Warriors win and Steph doesn't get it.
All right.
So here's the gambling advice. Right now, if you want to bet the Warriors to win the title, it's around minus 155. So you'd have to bet $155 to win 100. If you want to bet Steph to win finals MVP, it's even money. So you'd bet $100 to win 100. If you think the Warriors are going to win the title, just bet Steph to win finals MVP. Because Klay is not going to, I don't think Klay can have 4 great games. Draymond's not getting it. Poole's not getting it. I understand people are like, no one would have thought Iguodala could have gotten it. That's true, but it also, he shouldn't have gotten it. They won't make the mistake again. If the Warriors win, Steph's going to win finals MVP. All right, what's next?
Okay. We're into the top 15 of your top 50 players in the last 50 years.
Yeah.
Klay, Draymond, and Tatum aren't on the list.
Yeah.
Before the finals start, would you like to admit that some of these guys should be on there, or are you going to take up for Tiny Archibald?
All right, your issue with Tiny Archibald, especially,
is that I don't know him.
Well, and I mean, it's just, you picking on Tiny Archibald, unnecessary. I mean, led the league in points and assists in the same year. Played for the Kansas City Kings, mind you. But set that aside. Tatum's got a long ways to go before he could be on the list.
Okay.
Draymond and Klay, here's how I would look at it. Dennis Rodman's on the list. Of those 3 guys, Draymond's the guy who is the closest to making it. I would have Draymond ahead of Klay. Okay. Klay missed those 2 years. Klay also doesn't have the individual accolades Draymond does, the Defensive Player of the Year stuff. I have Dennis Rodman on the list. When Draymond's career is all said and done, if I do this again in 25 years, especially if they win another ring, would he be on it? Probably yes. The 75 of the last 75. Does he deserve to be on it right now? No. We're taking off Carmelo? Carmelo was 49. Bernard King was 50. So let's just, I know you don't know who Bernard King is. So let's just take off Carmelo. Are we saying Klay, Draymond, or Jason Tatum had better careers than Carmelo? The answer is no. So no, my list is good. Everyone's mad about the Luka thing on the list, which I knew people would be, but it still bothers me they're mad about it. All right, what's last?
Okay, so this is great. Got a tennis topic for you.
Oh, sweet.
Yeah. Nadal won an epic match against Djokovic Tuesday in Paris.
Yeah.
If he wins another Grand Slam, does this cement him into the tennis goats? Into being a tennis goat?
No, the tennis goat would be the question. He's already one of them. So this is what's really interesting. So when I was your age, there was a clear-cut best ever, but he had a bit of a caveat. It was Pete Sampras. He had 14 Grand Slams, but he never could win on clay. He dominated on grass. He won some majors on hard.
What do you mean? Went on clay, dominated on glass,
on grass.
Grass.
Oh boy, this is a green jacket situation, isn't it? So do you know how the tennis majors work?
Wait, no. I'm not aware of how the majors work.
Do you know any? Okay, so they play on different surfaces. So there's 4 tournaments that really matter in golf: the Masters, U.S. Open, British Open, PGA. Tennis, same thing. There's 4 tournaments that really matter: the U.S. Open, Wimbledon, which is in England, the French Open, which is in Paris, and the Australian Open, which is obviously in Australia. So the U.S. Open and the Australian Open. Haven't you been to the U.S. Open with me?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So the U.S. Open, Australian Open, they're on hard courts. So that's the type of tennis court you see if you're like walking around the city.
More notoriety for winning on better grass and
okay. This
clay?
is great. All right. So listen, So U.S. Open, Australian Open are on hard courts.
Okay.
Wimbledon's on grass. And the French Open is on clay. It's on like a red clay. So the ball spins different. It comes different. It's different speeds. So the moral of the story was Pete Sampras won 14 majors, the most ever. But he never won a single French Open because he couldn't win on clay. Then Roger Federer came around. Federer has 20 majors. He forever couldn't win on clay, but then won one on clay. It's like, oh, Federer's the greatest. Then there was this guy named Rafa Nadal who has won 13 French Opens. He's the greatest clay court tennis player ever. People are like, oh, but that's all he can do. But he also has 2 Australians, 2 Wimbledons, and 4 U.S. Opens. So he has 21 majors. He's dominated on clay. It's like, oh, is he the greatest? But then there's Djokovic. Djokovic was, I think some people say, the most talented guy ever. He also only has 1 French Open because, again, these guys can't win on clay because Rafa kicks their ass on clay.
Man.
Yeah, man, it's totally different. It's like, I don't even know a cross-sport comparison.
Tennis on grass.
Well, Wimbledon, it's beautiful grass. It's very, very short manicured grass. But then like over the course of the tournament where they stand, it starts to wear away. It changes color. It's great. Tennis is great, man. So the point is this. Rafa, if he finishes it off, will now have 22 majors.
Damn, man. Maybe I should say Klay Thompson created a diversion. Get him to stop talking about this. Maybe talk about some basketball. Shoot. Tennis players probably don't even talk about tennis for this long.
Has to matter. And then there's Djokovic, who I don't particularly like. And he's got the whole, like, is he even going to be allowed to play Australian Opens anymore? Because he had a vaccine issue there. And he's won 9 Australian Opens. Is this not interesting to you?
No.
Okay.
So
yeah,
I do. I think it's cool that they play on different elements.
Yeah.
And it just.
You don't seem interested.
Yeah.
This is a green jacket situation.
This is definitely a green jacket situation.
All right, let me try to explain to you why it's awesome. So, I can't think of a basketball comp except if some teams' arenas were outdoors on double rims. And it's like, oh boy, like listen, he's great in the gym, but and one team's arena was outdoors in a really windy environment. It's like, oh, can you handle that? So the fact that these guys have to deal with not only totally different weather, the Australian Open gets so hot sometimes, but they also have to deal with the ball bounces, goes different speeds, takes different angles. Hard court, you're going to get basically perfect conditions. Clay, obviously, and you slide. Like you slide around. It's great. You got to watch French Open with me, Rafa, if he makes the finals. This is his last gasp. Might be his last tournament ever. Could be
he makes the finals. Will that be at any point while the Celtics are playing in the finals?
No, I think it's Sunday, but it would be before the game.
Okay.
Oh, it would be great. Oh, yeah. We could have a great sports Sunday, pal.
I'm excited.
This would be... no. These tennis matches are like 5.5 hours long.
Yeah.
No, they're great. They're
insane.
So great. But the other thing is, and I know we're going long, but I really, really like tennis. We just don't talk about it because nobody cares.
You like tennis more than golf? I think you do because I
do.
Feel like you only like golf
with Tigers. Yeah. No. I definitely do, and I definitely like them both more than baseball.
Okay.
But I got to tell you, when I was your age, Pete Sampras was the all-time leader in majors with 14. 3 guys came up after him around the same time: Federer, Nadal, and Djokovic. They all now have 20. But think about that. So the 3 greatest ever, arguably, were competing against each other. So the most ever was 14. Now 3 guys all have 20. But if one of those guys just didn't exist, then you might have 2 guys who have like 30.
Yeah.
And if 2 of them didn't exist, one of these guys might have 45.
Right.
Like, it's unbelievable how good these 3 guys are. The fact that Nadal is still doing it, might win his 22nd major. It's unbelievable. All right, I think we just did 8 minutes on tennis. So if you're still listening, God bless you. We'll be right back.
Wow.
You ever heard of Bjorn Borg?
No.
All right, welcome back in What's Right with Nick Wright podcast and YouTube show. Like, rate, subscribe, review. We'd greatly appreciate that. All right, that first segment, not only did I blow through the clock, I blew through the clock by like 5 minutes to talk about tennis. So this segment, not only will I guarantee I hit the clock, I might finish early. We got stuff to do. We got a lot going on. And to be honest, I am almost taked out for the week. You have no idea how many people want you on their podcast when you're the wrongest man in America about these NBA finals. These clowns up in the Bay Area, Lightyear season has me on. Bomani, who I adore, had me on. All these people have me on just so they can mock me. So and Cowherd's have me on. Dan Patrick's has me on. Levitard had me on. All these people. So I am running on fumes, and I still have a few days left of TV left. So let's try to go quickly through this. All right, what are we doing? Playing a game?
I gotcha. Yes, it's time for 2 wrongs, 1 right.
Okay, 2 wrongs, 1 right.
2 wrongs, 1 right.
A little more enthusiasm. I know you're still under the weather, but come on, if I can
honestly,
do it, you can do it.
I thought I might have been wrong about the game, so I said it inconfidently.
I got you. So if you said it quietly, you'd have been less wrong. Here's the idea. If you're wrong, you're wrong. So might as well hope you're right and just go with it. Okay, what are we doing?
Sounds good. Dak Prescott says he's eager to prove people wrong this season. What quarterback will finally silence their critics?
Mm-hmm.
Dak, Russ, or Lamar?
Okay, well, first of all, Russ doesn't have a bunch of critics. It's just mostly me. I don't think Lamar, I think for Dak or Russ, for Dak or Lamar, people are mostly entrenched. And I think the only way for either of those guys to truly silence their critics is to make the Super Bowl. So my answer is Lamar, because I think the Ravens are going to be awesome. I obviously, hope and might end up picking the Chiefs to make the Super Bowl. I don't know. But the Ravens, I'm the only person that seems to remember this. The Ravens were 8-3 last year. The number 1 seed in the AFC through 11 games, despite all the injuries before Lamar went down. And Lamar then got hurt. Their entire secondary got hurt. They lost 3 out of 4 games on the final minute. The Ravens are going to be really good. The Cowboys are going to be the same Cowboys, which is they're going to win that crappy division and not be a real Super Bowl threat. And Russ, I just don't think has critics other than me. I think everyone's like, oh my God, Russell Wilson.
I think people expect him to be pretty good.
Of course they expect him to be good, but that's different. So the question is, silence their critics. Yeah. I don't think he has a lot of critics. I mean, it's me and Future. That's it. Everyone else loves Russell Wilson.
Mom, too.
What?
Oh, actually, no, I don't think Mom's a big fan of Russell Wilson.
No, everybody loves Russell Wilson. And with respect to your mother, even if she was a critic, I don't know if her, her debut performance on the podcast notwithstanding, I don't know if her media profile rises to the level of Russell Wilson's going to hoist the Super Bowl trophy and be like, hey, take that, fashion bird. I really proved you wrong. All right, what's next?
Oh, Charles Barkley says the Clippers were picked to win next year's title.
Yeah.
And Aaron Donald says that he's going to retire.
Not that he's going to.
He says that he might retire.
Yeah.
Which LA team is more likely to win a championship next year? The Lakers, the Clippers, or the Rams?
All right. The easiest one to eliminate, as much as it hurts my heart, is the Lakers. I mean, I like the Darvin Ham hire, but they have to totally remake their roster. It doesn't look like they're going to. They keep claiming they might want to keep Russ. So I don't look at the Lakers.
I think they're going to trade him for Kyrie.
That would be amazing, but I don't think the Nets are going to do that.
I think they are, and the Lakers will throw in those picks that they're refusing to throw in.
Oh, well, for Kyrie, obviously they would, but there are some weird Lakers reports going on. There was somebody from Bleacher Report yesterday tweeted that the Lakers were, trying to acquire Donovan Mitchell, but wouldn't include the 2026 draft pick. With respect, what the are you talking about? If you're trying to acquire Donovan Mitchell, who's a flawed but very good player, it's like, listen, we'll give you Russ and we'll give you Taylor and Horton Tucker, but we're not giving up our pick. The Jazz, unless the Jazz were doing some trading places situation where they were trying to bankrupt the franchise, the idea that they would, there's nothing the Lakers could offer that doesn't involve the name LeBron James or Anthony Davis, to where the Lakers could offer as many picks as possible. They're not trading him Donovan Mitchell. And so the Lakers just eliminate him. The Clippers could be excellent. But at this point, it's fair to say, is Kawhi Leonard as big of an injury risk as there is in the NBA? I say yes. The guy missed the entire season, got hurt at the end of the season before, was hurt throughout 2 seasons prior to that. So the Clippers, to me, on paper, I love Ty Lue. I like what they've done with their roster. They made a conference finals for the first time in franchise history. They did it without Kawhi at the end of the series without Kawhi. But too much of an injury risk. So my answer is the Rams. Aaron Donald's not retiring. Aaron Donald's getting a pay raise. He's going to play at least 1 or 2 more years. He's going to get a big raise. The Rams are not my pick to win the Super Bowl, but I think the NFC is way down. I think the Rams will be excellent again, and Aaron Donald's not going anywhere. All right, what's next?
Okay. Who will be the finals' biggest X factor?
Yep.
Marcus Smart, Jordan Poole, or Kevon Looney?
All right, my answer is Jordan Poole, but not in the direction I think people usually think of X factor.
You're about to come at his defense?
Well, kind of. So I'm going to change the question to who will be to who could be. If the Warriors lose, it's going to be because Jordan Poole is a massive negative. And it's not just on, there's 2 ways Jordan Poole could be the massive negative. One is he is objectively a terrible defender.
Or his relationship with Klay and like the offense when wanting too much.
Listen, if I were Steve Kerr, I'd go to Jordan and I'd say, Jordan, I need your cell phone. Coach, why? Like, Jordan, I need your cell phone, and I'm just going to do one thing. I'm going to go to your messages, and you know how you can search messages, like you're searching for a message? I'm just going to type in one thing. What are you going to type in, Coach? I'm going to type in Finals MVP, and I'm going to see if you've texted anyone, your mom, your best friend. Look out for me. I'm going to win this Finals MVP. That would be the worst thing that could happen to the Warriors. If Jordan Poole's like,
I'm about to get mine.
This is my time. Oh, look for me now. So that would concern me if I were Golden State. I think Golden State, I don't love the Jordan Poole, Klay Thompson dynamic. I don't, but I think they can overcome that. And I think they can hide him on defense. But if Jordan Poole, every time he comes in the game is like, it's Jordan Poole time, that would worry me for them. So he's a potential X factor. All right, what's next?
Okay, that was fair. Most important final stat. Boston with 0 games of finals experience, Golden State with 123 games of finals experience, or Golden State with 1 week of rest.
So I talked about the finals experience earlier. I do think that will matter, but I think the 1 week of rest is huge. In my mind, I think Golden State's up 1-0. If you guys are going to win the series, Damonza, I'll never change a pick mid-series. If you guys win the first game, I'll feel terrible about my pick because I'm baking into it. Here's what I'm baking into it. If you're they're coming off the 1 week rest and they're at home. And exactly. And the Celtics are coming off back-to-back 7-game series. So I look at it like this. I'm like, okay, I believe Golden State's going to win game 1. I also think they've lost a game 7 in their building to lose the title once before. I don't think they are going to do that again. So I feel like they've won game 1. If it gets to 7, they're going to win. So that would mean Boston would have to win 4 out of 5 games 2 through 6. Now, maybe they could do it, and Boston has won a road game 7 in these playoffs, but it was against Miami and a beaten-up Miami team. My answer is the 1 week of rest. I think the 1 week of rest and how much less demanding the last 2 Warriors series were compared to the last 2 Celtics series. All right, what's last?
Okay. Who deserves to redo their mistakes?
Yeah.
Nick Saban for his comments about Texas A&M.
Mm-hmm.
Max Strus for his alleged step out of bounds.
Uh-huh.
Or you for your really bad takes on the 2 finals teams.
What do you mean by really bad takes on the 2 finals teams?
Yeah. Your Wiggins takes was really bad, and we all know about that. But I dug a little bit deeper regarding the Celtics and the Warriors.
Did some Oppo research. Okay.
Yes, and we've got a few tweets to show you.
Okay, let me see. Before I get my answer, let's see.
It's not a knock on Jason Tatum to acknowledge the simple fact that he's not yet ready to be the best player on a finalist. All of NBA history agrees with him.
Hold on a second. When was this tweet sent?
This was
it was July
10th, 2020.
Yeah, well, he wasn't.
Huh?
He wasn't ready yet. Put that tweet back on the screen.
It's just something that hasn't aged well. You just like try to think about these things before you tweet them.
Wait. Players 23 and under since 1980, best player on a finals team. It was Durant, LeBron, Duncan, Shaq, and Dream. No, you stop talking for a moment.
More for you?
All right, well, I'm going to talk about this one first. I was correct about Jason Tatum. This is from 2 years ago. He was not yet ready.
But go ahead.
There's 5?
No, not 5 tweets. But you're saying 2 years. It's not like 5 years ago. It's only been like 2 seasons. I don't think.
As long as it was not this season, I wasn't. Okay, let me see the next one.
Okay, so this one's about Curry.
Yeah.
Let's get the graphic up there. Some of y'all new here just now discovering that last season I was in awe of Steph Curry. He had me and mostly everyone fooled.
Okay, that first of all, this is totally lacking context. Second of all, this is from 6 years ago. 6 years ago.
But you said that he had people fooled as if like he wasn't his true self and he wasn't good.
I don't know. That was
and then 6
Put
years.
Put that tweet back on the screen as well, actually. I want to see something about that, if we can. This is from New Year's Eve. I'm probably half in the bag. Hey, I wasn't even on TV yet, I don't think. And it's misleading of you guys to use my current avatar with these tweets. Well, you should have to use the avatar from the time the tweet
We've got to really, this last one's excellent.
Okay, let me see it.
If I'm KD, I sign a one and one in OKC. If we win the 2017 title, I stay. If we don't, I go join Wiggins and Cat in Minnesota and form a juggernaut.
That one I don't remember.
Yeah.
Great take by me.
Great take by you.
Great take by me.
Okay, so Wiggins is with the Warriors. Like,
hold on. My aunt, that was in.
And you also said that on July 4th, probably half-wasted.
Let me see that one again. Oh boy, that was July of 26. July 3rd. The very next day, he signed with Golden State. I was hosting for Colin when that happened. So here's, first of all, KD should have listened to this advice. If this is, I take none of it back. The answer is, yeah. So hear me out here.
Okay.
He chose to go to Golden State. It theoretically went as well as it possibly could have for him. They won 2 titles. He won 2 Finals MVPs. He left, and to this day, he's arguing about it. He's still, he clearly didn't get what he wanted.
Okay.
If he goes back to OKC and they win the title, he would have, by definition, beaten LeBron in the finals without this super team because the Cavs were there. So he gets that. If they don't, if he goes to Minnesota, Andrew Wiggins is showing while he was terrible as the number 1 option, if he's your 3rd or 4th option, he can be good. Karl Anthony Towns maybe would be a little more mature if he had KD take, as the leader on that team. And he would have gotten all the credit in the world for those teams winning a title.
Yeah.
He would have never had Kyrie in his life. You know what? Great takes. That's a great take by me. I forgot I sent that.
Hey, KD did a really good job at coming to the Nets and leading them to the finals this year.
Well, no.
Those young guys, he took them under their wing.
Okay, no.
With the help of Kyrie Irving.
Right. Kyrie wouldn't have been involved.
Oh.
Okay, you know what? You're not even, I don't mean to be rude here, but this is like 3-dimensional chess that I'm talking about here, and it's clearly going over your head. I had forgotten that tweet. Thank you for bringing it up. To answer your question, the biggest wrong there was Max Strus being out of bounds, but I'm not sure he was out of bounds. The second biggest wrong was me saying I was going to either go short or hit the clock, and I went long again. No, we got to go. We got what? Go ahead. What?
No. And the whole Max Strus thing, about how people are saying that, if he hits the 3, it changes the game. I want to talk about the butterfly effect for a second.
Yeah.
If he hits that 3, a bunch of things change. And like the Celtics probably would have done something differently because, it's in their minds that, they've hit a 3. It's at this point in the game. And then they probably play differently.
Of course, that's true. But that's also why they shouldn't be allowed to overturn it 6 possessions later. That you are correct that it can't be like, well, the Heat were down 2. If you add the 3 from 20 minutes earlier, they'd have been up 1 because they would have played defense differently down the stretch if they didn't have that big of a cushion. All that's true. But it's also why the NBA all of a sudden, when I've never seen it happen, because here's what I believe would have happened. Miami would have called a timeout to stop the Boston run that was going on in the 3rd quarter if Strus's 3 hadn't counted. Instead, they think they've cut it to 7. All of a sudden, it's 10. Boston's at the free throw line. Now it's 12, and it's like almost out of hand. So I agree with you on the butterfly effect, but it cuts both ways. All right, now we really have to take a break. We'll be right back. All right, so Damonza, welcome back. And by the way, What's Right with Nick Wright podcast. So I had I'm not going to tell you who, a colleague, not even a podcast colleague, a TV colleague, say to me, they think I'm mean when I call you. They said I call you a doofus, that I maybe had called you an idiot once on the show. And they said that they think I'm being mean. Can I, first of all, do I hurt your feelings when I do that?
No. I mean, no.
Okay. So now that I know I don't hurt your feelings, can we add not a weekly, but a monthly segment We can maybe create it.
Of like of how we've gotten to you calling me an idiot.
Damonza the doofus, we could call it. And it can just be story time with Damonza. And here's our debut segment. Can we talk about, you remember the jersey you tried to return?
100%.
Are you comfortable telling America that story?
I was young, so
How young?
I'd like to say that I was like 19 years old.
Okay, 19 sounds right. So old enough to sign up for the military, to you know what I mean, to do a lot of things, but he wasn't 12. 19 years old. Go ahead.
So I feel like I just moved to New York like a couple months previous to that.
Yeah.
Prior, and I had first started to have like my own money. I was working at this restaurant.
Yeah.
And I wanted to go to this party, and I had like these jerseys, but I wanted a new jersey.
Went
to go get a jersey.
Who hasn't been there? Yeah.
Went to go get a new jersey from the NBA store in like Times Square or whatever.
Yeah.
Got the jersey, went home, tried it on. It was too big. I didn't like it. I like my jerseys to fit me a certain way.
Yeah. Like schmediums. Go ahead.
Schmediums. All right, whatever. And so I go back to the NBA store to return the jersey to get a new one. And I'm wearing the jersey. And I'm like, I want to return this jersey. I want to get a new one. And they're like, sorry, like we can't take it back from you. And I was like, no, I have the receipt. It's all good. Like I've got it here. I just got it. I just got it earlier today. I'd like to get a new one. And they're like, no, sorry, we can't do it. Like you're wearing the jersey.
Literally wearing it.
And like to top that, it was 90 degrees outside. And I wasn't wearing like my usual sweater with the jersey over it. I'm just wearing the bare jersey.
No, your plan was to either walk out of there shirtless or exchange it. But at no point down there were you like, oh boy, I am sweating profusely in this clothing item I'm trying to return.
No, and the other thing is, at that point in my life, I was not at all used to buying my own clothes without like my mom's supervision or like her getting
supervision
for me.
Yeah.
And like I was just like, there's no way that I shouldn't be able to return this jersey. I actually asked if I could speak to the manager. And they were like, we'll go get him, but
you're wearing the item.
Yeah.
But you're literally wearing the item.
And I'm not one of those guys. So they went to get him. And like once he explained it to me, I was like, all right.
Oh, you make some solid points, sir. I don't think I have a future in retail. This is why your mom won't let you fill in at Trintage. This is why Deanna will get the call before you. That's today's show. Hey, thanks for watching. Smash or just lightly tap that subscribe button. It all works the same. To get more from the show, and make sure you click. Why don't you want to mash the bell too, guys? Or just, lightly tap the bell to get notified every time new content drops. Check out full episodes of What's Right wherever you get your podcasts, or just hit the link in the description below.